Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Charbonneau. I'm the associate publisher for Spin Sheet Magazine. Welcome to another edition of the Spin Sheet Happy Hour. Hey, Beth.
Hey, Sharp. Great to see you. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this one. It's a great way to kick off the season.
It is. It has been a little bit since we've done one of these, and I'm excited though. And it's kind of a cold and dreary day, so I'm hoping people are going to be tuning in and hearing about how people have kind of got it a little addicted to sailing.
Yeah, we got some folks that started sailing as adults and are super enthusiastic. So it's going to be great to
Awesome.
hear their stories and bounce around some ideas so other people can get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's just like always, our format really doesn't change very much. We got to thank our sponsor, Mount Gay Rum. Without them, we can't do this. And since we're 100% advertiser supported, we need to make sure that they're happy, and we're happy that they are supporting us. We have actually our signature cocktail. This is something we started. Oh, geez, we've been doing the signature cocktail now for a while. But tonight it's going to be the cinnamon orange old fashioned. And here's our ingredients and the recipe. Cinnamon bark syrup. Nice. Anyway,
You make your own syrup.
I know that's serious. We were supposed to have a live representative, but unfortunately she couldn't make it. But she did the next best thing, and that is sent us a video. So hold on one second.
Today we're going to make an old fashioned, but not just any old fashioned. We're going to make a Mount Gay XO old fashioned. Mount Gay XO is our triple cask blend. So this rum spends time in American whiskey casks, ex-bourbon casks, and cognac casks, up to 17 years. So on its own, this liquid is already incredibly special. It can totally just be drank on the rocks or even neat. But we're coming up on the holidays, so I thought it would be fun to do an old fashioned with a holiday twist. So we're gonna start with 2 ounces of our Mount Gay XO. You can tell I've been enjoying my Mount Gay XO. So 2 ounces right over ice into our mixing glass. And then I'm gonna add 1/4 ounce of cinnamon bark syrup. You can make this at home, or you can just buy a cinnamon syrup, totally up to you. 3 dashes of orange bitters. Give that a nice little stir. It's pretty warm here today in Southern California, so this is not going to take long to dilute at all. Strain this over fresh ice in my old-fashioned glass. And then I'm going to garnish with a little orange peel. Cinnamon and orange are 2 of those kind of iconic holiday flavors, but you could also make this with coffee bitters and a lemon twist, or cranberry and orange. It's really open to any interpretation. Cheers. Happy holidays, and I hope you enjoy your cinnamon orange Mount Gay XO old fashioned.
That looks great.
I'm muted. Yeah, it does look great, actually. I was saying earlier I don't like old fashions, but she kind of made it look pretty tasty.
I'll drink
yours. I do like cinnamon. I mean, who doesn't like cinnamon?
Yeah, it's perfect for November.
Exactly. Well, Beth, how about we bring our guests on?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Oh, did we lose Melissa? No, we did not. Hold on, Melissa. I know you're there. I see you. There we go. Hello, everybody. Oh, everybody's muted, so you got to become unmuted.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
Welcome to the Spin Sheet Happy Hour.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for being here. It's happy hour. So, Chris, why don't you start us off? What are you drinking?
So because Mount Gay was nice enough to send us a bottle of XO right here, I did not make an old fashioned, but it's so good that you can basically have it on the rocks, and that's what I've got. What are you drinking?
Well, I've got a simple glass of white wine here, so not as
Will do.
good way to end the week though.
Yeah.
Karen, how about you?
I have a nice glass of New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, just like, yeah, and it's great way to end the week. I agree.
Melissa?
I'm in La Paz, Bolivia at the moment, so I am drinking a Bolivian Pilsner.
Nice.
Very appropriate.
We are an international show. Ellie?
I have a margarita. A little bit of
Ooh.
lime.
Very nice.
With salt on the rim, we see.
Yeah, salted the rim and everything.
And Victoria?
I got jealous of the drink and was inspired to drink some apple cider for the fall season.
Oh, nice. Well, let's do our toast. Cheers. Da, 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 da. It's kind of like the Brady Bunch. I'm showing my age. Okay. All right. I'm gonna disappear into the background, and I'll see you guys afterwards. All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think we have a little feedback, but we'll see how we do. So thanks, guys. So the theme tonight, as you know, it's really playing off our Start Sailing Now program, in which actually all of you have been featured, although that wasn't necessarily the goal, but the goal was to invite people who learn to sail as adults and to show the world that you can do this sport in so many different ways, in so many different phases of your life. And we want to encourage other adults to give it a try if they're at all curious to know that sailing is for everyone. And so we've got all Chesapeake Bay sailors, but from around the Bay. We've got Karen from the Baltimore area, Victoria from the Norfolk area, and Melissa and Ellie from the DC area, which is fabulous. And we all are sailers here on other people's boats, OPB, as we like to call it. So we are going to be part of what we'll talk about is letting people know that you can get a lot of time on the water, because I know some of you spend a lot of time on the water without owning a boat, without a huge financial commitment, without years of sailing instruction. So with that said, why don't we just go around and you all haven't met each other before just a few minutes ago. You can share just briefly, you know, how you got inspired and what kind of sailing you're doing. Maybe mention where you sail, what kind of boats. And I know you're all sailing with clubs. We can probably get into that and community sailing programs later. But Karen, you want to start us off, please, just a little bit?
Sure. So I'm currently a member of the Downtown Sailing Center in Baltimore, which really makes OPB. I mean, they really do a great job with that. So I don't own a boat, but I can sail every day out of the year if I want to as a member, and learn from people, which is great, and also volunteer to help people with adaptive sailing, outreach programs for people in the Baltimore community to bring them onto the water, racing program. So to make a long story short, I dabbled with sailing off and on over the years. I would take a course, and then 5-10 years would go by. I didn't have time to sail. That happened several times over. And then I moved to Baltimore 2 years ago, and I joined the Downtown Sailing Center. And last year I spent so much time on the water. I sailed more last year than at any time in my life. And what was great about it is I got a chance to get involved in the community and to help other people, you know, get acquainted with the sport. And I also joined the Universal Sailing Club, which is a program that encourages African Americans to get involved in sailing, and is a sense of camaraderie and shared culture with that program as well.
Great, thanks. Victoria, you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing on that?
Yeah, Karen, I love that because it sounds so similar to Nauticus. So I am in Norfolk, Virginia, so on the southern side. And I actually live, if I could turn the camera around, you could see the Nauticus Museum and the Battleship Wisconsin and their associated Sail Nauticus program, which is our community sailing program in the Hampton Roads area. I actually didn't know anybody who was sailing. I moved here for residency from the Midwest, so water was not my thing. But a lot of people talked about a cool sailing club where you could learn how to sail, and I wanted to do something that was unique to the area while I was here. And so I actually met them, like formally met people from Sail Nauticus at a trivia night that they were sponsoring. And I got some information. They said, it's an annual fee. You can be a member, just like what Karen was saying. You can be a member and come out and sail other people's boats at any time. Sail Nauticus has Harbor 20s as all of their boats, so they're great keel boats to learn on. And then the Elizabeth River, of course, is like a nice protected area, but it has a lot of traffic, so it's always very interesting. You're getting a lot of practice maneuvering and navigating around other boats, but it's like a nice secluded area. And then Sail Nauticus in general is just an amazing community program. Its flagship program is actually a Norfolk middle school sailing program. So it teaches kids 6th through 8th grade some STEM topics, so science. And I'm a medical resident right now at the Children's Hospital. And so I helped them with their CPR class. And all the meanwhile, they're also learning how to sail. So not only was it a great way for me to learn how to do something new, but also get involved with helping kids learn how to do the same thing, and then teaching the other adults in the adult membership program.
Awesome. So Melissa and Ellie are in 2 different countries right now, but they are married, so they may want to bounce back and forth explaining their sailing journey. I'll turn it over to you 2.
So we started sailing a few years ago. I think it's actually less than 2 years ago, which I can't fathom how that's possible, because it feels like we've been sailing for a long time at this point. We first sailed, I've always been interested in it, but it really sort of kicked off for real. We took our first post-COVID trip. We went to Puerto Rico and signed up for a day sail of the San Juan Bay, which was just meant for, tourists. But it was on a J30, which is a real fun boat to sail. And I remember that it was just through like Airbnb Adventures or something like that. But I do remember the description said, this boat will be healing. It will be going fast. If you don't want to do that, then don't sign up for this trip. And so we still signed up and got on the boat. And at one point, the captain let me take the tiller. And from that moment on, I was like, yep, this is what the rest of my life looks like. So it was a really great intro. Since then, we've done a lot of classes, and we are members of 4 sailing clubs, all in the DC area. And so we sail on the Anacostia River, the Potomac River, sometimes in the Bay. And this year, Ellie and I are still, right now he's probably winning because I'm now in Bolivia in a landlocked country. But we were competing to get to 250 hours on the water. So we'll see if he's made it there yet.
Yeah, I'm at about 220 right now, and Melissa's about at 220 as well. So we'll see who wins this competition. As Melissa said, I have an unfair advantage right now. Although we are trying to plan, or I'm going to try to plan a trip to Bolivia. And apparently they do have a lake there called Lake Titicaca, and it's 13,000 feet. It's the highest lake in the world. And we're hoping that we could get out on a boat over there and go for a sail. I also could add that we joined a club. We joined DC Sail. That was our first club that we joined. And the classes were filling up very quickly. It was very hard to get into them. So we actually took a class from a different place on the bay. And that was a great way to get a lot of training in and still be able to, hit the ground running with the club too. So you don't always have to like wait around for, the club schedule and the club training. You can go outside of that. And that was a great way for us to be able to get the most out of the season and not have to wait, months or weeks to be able to take a class.
So yeah, I know, Ellie, you've talked about the value of the clubs being a way to get on a lot of different types of boats, and maybe we could just go around quickly. One thing I've heard over the years is that a good way to become a better sailor is to try to sail on as many different types of boats as you can. And why don't we start with that and talking about club membership and how it offers you the opportunity to try different kinds of boats. And Victoria, you'll have to tell us if Sail Nauticus has more than just the Harbor 20s, or is everybody in Harbor 20s? And there's nothing wrong with that because that's a fabulous boat to start on. Karen, are with the Downtown Sailing Club and Universal Sailing Club? I know you've told me that Universal Sailing Club, you don't have to own your own boat. So if I understand that right, that seems like that's an opportunity to try different boats. And just remember, you're muted right now.
So the Universal Sailing Club, the members, for the most part, they own their own boats. And we're talking about large boats, from 30 to 45 feet. And with the Downtown Sailing Center, I sail on J22s and sonars. And it's a great way to learn. The Baltimore Harbor, the winds are always changing. You have to, you have to be alert all the time because there's always a wind shift. So in next season, I plan to join the Downtown Sailing Center's cruising program. They have larger vessels for members, and you can learn from other members, how to sail on a larger boat, how to care for it, how to dock and things like that. So I'm looking forward to expanding my knowledge next year and possibly taking a Keelboat 103 course next year as well. I also had to take, Downtown Sailing Center has great sailing courses. They have a Keelboat 101 course, but they were really booked up. So last season I had to make a decision and find someplace else on Chesapeake Bay to take the course. So I agree with you. If you can't, get your class at the club that you're with, there's so many classes out there. There's so many learning opportunities on the bay. Oops.
Beth, I think they're muted. But yeah, Karen, I do agree with you about those opportunities to be able to get training. There's so many of them. There's even online courses that you could take, or MP3s you can listen to, or video training. There's so many opportunities now. You don't even have to necessarily do the conventional go to a classroom either. So,
yeah. And also I think you'll find with sailing clubs, Downtown Sailing Center and probably your clubs, people are really eager to share their knowledge. And that's a great thing, to sail with other people, and everyone has a different way of doing things. And it's a great way to learn outside the classroom.
Yeah, Victoria, you do some social sailing?
Pardon me?
Say that again?
I think Victoria had told me that there's like social sails at Sail Nauticus, maybe. And I was thinking that's probably a great way to just get on the boat with different people, and everybody kind of has their own ways they do things, and get some different tips just from your peers.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. So I was gonna say, Sail Nauticus does only have Harbor 20s, but I don't think that has at all limited my ability to sail on other boats. I might not be like captain or skipper of the other boats, but definitely all of the members that are at Sail Nauticus and all of the people I've met in sailing in general, I think are just so enthusiastic to share what they have or what they know. And I've had amazing invitations to go on other people's boats. And I don't think there has been a lack of opportunity, even though I've truly only sailed a Harbor 20. Some of my friends have a beach cat, so we go down to the oceanfront every once in a while and sail on the bay. But yeah, the other things that the community program, what is so great about Sail Nauticus as a community program are the social events that they have. So, anybody is welcome. If you're a skipper, you can sign up to be the skipper of a boat. And on Thursday nights, from depending on the summer hours, but like 6 to 8, everyone meets at the dock. And if you're a skipper, you kind of get assigned some other members to jump on your boat. And I think that that's been one of the best things for me, sailing as an adult, is it always gets me out of my comfort zone. And I'm always meeting somebody new. I'm like learning about their life experiences, and we're all just relaxing, sailing on a boat. And if you are on a different boat than your friends, then we'll like sail by each other, and it's just a lot of fun.
So let's go around and just kind of pick up where Victoria was talking about. Like, what do you feel like you've really gotten out of sailing? Why would you want to recommend it to somebody that's looking for an adult hobby? I don't know, maybe they're thinking of bowling or, kickball, or who knows what it could be, taking an art class. There's all kinds of so many ways to spend our time, but what in particular about sailing do you feel like has enriched your life? Or someone just used the phrase, like, when I'm sailing, I'm more fully myself. If that's not too woo-woo to kind of jump into. Melissa, I know you were the one who said, this is what I got to do with the rest of my life. So what was the feeling behind that?
Yeah, I think for me, it was just like, I think it's the combination of being calmed but exhilarated at the same time. I can't think of another, maybe like hiking up a big mountain or something might be a similar sort of feeling. But what I like about it especially is that you're also, it's a team thing, right? And it's beyond like most other sports where it's a team and you're playing to win a game. In many cases, maybe not quite at the level where we're at, but eventually, and sometimes it's a team to keep each other alive. It's a team to keep a boat afloat and go from one place to the other. And the fact that it's using only the wind, sort of like the quiet sereneness of that is very amazing. Just like the sheer wonder of the fact that people were using these to go around the world well before cars were made, so and to be part of that history and that story is also another draw.
Yeah, if I could add to that a little bit more. So definitely, like Melissa said, the nature is just phenomenal. The things you could see, we've seen dolphins, crystal blue waters. And by the way, the dolphins were in the bay, so you don't necessarily have to go very far to see those. And the birds and the sunrises and the sunsets, and then sailing, if you sail in the Potomac or the Anacostia, you see the Capitol and the Washington Monument, and the DC skyline it's very cool perspective, and the airport's taking off and landing from JFK. It really, you get a vantage point that most people don't really get to see, with the calm and serenity of not being on a loud motorboat, for instance, with just the sail power. And then to add to that, like Victoria and Karen have been saying, that social aspect of hanging out with other like-minded people who are passionate about it and always willing to share and support each other. And a lot of times, as soon as we get off the boat, we go for a happy hour or for dinner or hang out. So it's a great social aspect as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that I especially recommend it if, say, you're moving to a new place. I mean, almost every city is on some kind of water, and almost every city that has water has a sailing club. And they generally are very affordable, and they generally include social sails that you don't have to know almost anything to go to a social sail, because there's an assigned skipper and they can help show you the ropes. And the amount of community you get from that is amazing. So it's a very easy way to find yourself a community in a new place.
Absolutely. I agree. I moved here 2 years ago. I didn't know anyone. And when I joined the Downtown Sailing Center, I immediately felt at home right away. I met friends. And not to mention that sailing just soothes my spirit. It's just so relaxing. It also, it gives you a chance to test your abilities. You can always learn. It's a sport that you can always learn. You can work your way up to different certifications and different experiences, different boats. Yeah. And the club aspect of it is great. At the Downtown Sailing Center, we also have a Woman on the Water program, call it WOW. And this happens every 2 weeks in the summer. And it's all women, and we're all learning from each other. And it's a different type of energy. And it's just a great way to meet people and and learn more about yourself on the water as well.
Yeah, I totally echo all of that, because I knew people who I worked with here, but in terms of actually getting involved in the community, like sailing was, I think, a more unique community than I had ever would have expected, because you are stepping into a group of people who are so passionate about what they do, and you can feel that excitement in every interaction you have. Like, everybody is either, oh, I've sailed my whole life and I love it, and these are all the places it's taken me, or this is my first time sailing and it's so cool to like be out on the water and learn how to do a new skill. And I think it just sets a different attitude for anybody that you meet with sailing, is that like, you are all here for a common thing, but you're all also very passionate about it, because you're spending your free time being out on the water, doing something that you love or are going to learn to love. And I think that has been a really cool community to like get to be a part of. And then outside of sailing, everyone is so different from each other, right? Like, I would have never, some of my best friends now are in like decades difference in age from me, but we can all hang out over the weekend, and they're like part of my community now.
Yeah, let's go around and maybe talk about experience or just a general perception of a mentor, or an experience where, I often hear sailors want to teach new sailors. Sailors are happy to share their knowledge. And have you all had any specific experiences, or maybe just in general, what your experience has been with that?
Interesting. Yeah, I think so, yes. There's a fellow member at my club, downtown Selling Center, and over the last year, I took the 101 basic keelboat class and got my certification. But even before that, jiving was a challenge for me, and she had me do it over and over and over and over and over again. At the time, it was like, this is a pain in the ass, but I really appreciate that instruction and the patience and the time she took, because now it's like second nature to me. So it's experiences like that. And even, tying a rope a certain way, I was trying to avoid it. And she forced me to really just work through it, build your muscle memory. And so I really appreciate that, fellow members pushing you and encouraging you and saying that, I know you can do this. So that goes a long way.
Yeah, jiving can be an obstacle for a lot of us. Ellie, did you have something you wanted to jump in with?
Sure, yeah. I was thinking about this. I think being part of a club, you really get many mentors instead of just one. You get like hundreds, but there's definitely a few that have really stood out. And some of them are people who've been sailing for a long time. They eventually got their own boats, and they still come to the clubs because they feel like they're getting so much out of it from a social aspect, from an exchange of knowledge. They're learning by teaching others. And it's great to know that I have access to those people. And the other day I was talking to one of these, mentors, and he was telling me about his mentors. And so, vicariously or essentially I'm getting access to their mentors because of them. So they're like that link between us. That's bridging the gap between people who were super, super experts and myself, who's more early starting out. And it's great to have those people in my life, and they're always willing to share their oopses and their lessons learned so that I don't make those same mistakes. So I love that they're willing to do that. Or if there's something that I'm struggling with, sort of like Karen was saying with jibing, for me, I didn't have much practice anchoring. So sure enough, I was given that opportunity to practice that. It's really great to have those people, and I'm thankful for that.
So
Yeah, I would just like echo that in that I feel like there's not so much, like Ellie was saying, that people are willing to admit their mistakes. And I feel like that's a sort of unique thing to sailing. There's not so much bravado behind it. Often, every time Ellie and I are doing a new tactic or trying to dock a boat, or we say to each other that it's humbling. It's always very humbling. We've done many classes, and we think, and we've got a lot of time on the water, and we think just when you think that you're confident, something about sailing will also teach you a lesson. And so I think over the years, that just sort of brings people down to earth, and they realize that, it's not about showing off. It's not about trying to be the coolest sailor on the boat. It is about comparting that knowledge and working as a team and just helping others whenever you can.
yeah, we mentioned jibing, which is challenging for new sailors. Just for those who don't know, is turning the boat in a certain way so that the wind's coming across the back of the boat. Seems to be a little more challenging than when you turn when the wind's in front, across the bow. Anchoring, docking. What other obstacles? Maybe they might be sailing maneuvers or anything else that were obstacles that you might have encountered that you overcame, and how did you do it? Does anybody have anything that comes to mind?
I have one. Give people some time to think about it. But For me, I was on a new boat that I had never been on before, and I'd never dealt with outboards at all, which the outboard engine. And it was a skipper. It was his first time skippering, so he didn't have a lot of experience doing it. And we were having trouble starting the engine, and it was getting time to dock, and it could be kind of treacherous docking under sail around a lot of expensive boats. And so we were wondering, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Are we going to have to get a tow back? Are we going to risk trying to sail to somewhere and hope for the best, which could be a little bit, challenging. His instructions were just keep trying, just keep pulling on the pull cord, and eventually it will start. But we all know the definition of insanity is, keep trying the same thing, hoping for a different outcome. But luckily, we took a break, we cleared our minds, we kind of, took a deep breath and realized that we didn't have the throttle in the start position, and that's why it wasn't starting. So sometimes you just got to stop, take a break, try to figure out, what is going wrong, and address it that way instead of trying to do the same thing and hoping for a better outcome.
I would say, so at the downtown sailing center, every dock is without, is using your sails only, no motors. And so that's always a challenge. When I took my course in Annapolis, on my keelboat course, it was a really nice modern boat with a nice motor, nice outboard. But even today, I don't care how many times I sail. When I get ready to dock, I always get a little nervous. Who's watching from the dock? Is it an upwind dock, a downwind dock? But then once I do it, I feel so accomplished. I haven't had any mishaps yet, but that's continues to be a challenge, and maybe it will for a while. Who knows?
God, that's awesome, Karen. I took one short course about sailing on and off the dock. We have little motors that we can pull in and out, so fortunately we don't have to sail. But that would definitely be a huge obstacle. It's a huge challenge.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add my little story. This is actually probably one of my favorite moments in sailing. Was we were out on a race night for our club, and we were looking around. The weather was a little bit dicey, and a storm just rolled in super fast. It was maybe 30 seconds from seeing the first strike of lightning in the horizon to big, how it gets very calm right before a storm. And then suddenly 30 mile per hour, gusts were knocking us down. And it was one of my friends that I started sailing with. We were racing together in preparation for our club race, our big fundraiser club race. And we got caught in this storm. And our boat we had been total knockdown, boom was in the water. Our boat was flipped in such a way that the motor even was out of the water. And the MOD at the time, who's one of our friends, was saying yeah, I could see your entire keel came out of the water. And just learning how to manage yourself, how to maintain composure, and where, Ellie, you said, where do I put my focus on? I was trying to pull the jib in the entire time when really I need to get the mainsail out of the water and then drop it as fast as I can whenever a break does come. And then how do you compose yourself? Because you're in the middle of a channel and these big power boats can come by you at any time. And you can't practice those things only when there are giant gusts of winds that come your way.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made it through, and it was probably quite a learning experience.
Yeah, I'm known in our club as the light wind sailor, so it's very ironic that I was caught in that.
It brings me back to what Melissa was saying, the serenity and also the adrenaline rush. It's a sport that can do both. So I wanted to touch on, I think someone mentioned it, and I don't know if Melissa and Ellie, I think I remember maybe you've done this. You can take your sailing anywhere, right? So haven't you gone on some vacations where you took classes? And so I want to like encourage people to know that maybe this winter you're going to go to Florida. Maybe you want to take a sailing class there. Maybe you take a whole vacation around your sailing class somewhere warm. Certainly you can do it in the summer, but you can do it in the winter. And I don't know if any of you have done classes away from home on vacation as a getaway.
Yeah, so I had that story about sailing in Puerto Rico. That's the first time we sailed. We went back to Puerto Rico to take our ASA 103 course. That's the coastal cruising. And we had just an amazing experience. Sailing in Puerto Rico is extremely underrated. It is an incredible experience. The wind is very predictable, except for when there's a hurricane, so don't sail during those. But for the most part, the wind is always coming from the same direction. It's always coming, 10 to 15 knots, which is pretty ideal for a keelboat. And you've got, if you sail out of the east side of the island, you've got protection from the other islands, Vieques and Culebra, and you can sail to them very easily in like a couple hours, have a nice day sail. So I would recommend checking it out. I know that other people in our clubs have gone to like Greece to do their 103, 104 courses. Ellie and I also, outside of just courses, we sail in other places. We've sailed in Italy, around Sardinia. We've sailed we're going to Croatia soon. We also do racing, and our racing skipper is going to charter a boat, and we're crewing on that. And we have sailed most recently in Scotland.
If you want to learn high wind sailing, that's probably the place to do it. It's definitely the most challenging sailing location, or one of the most challenging sailing locations, because you've got intense winds, cold temperatures, and a really big tidal range. So if you do get to the level where you want to take it to the next level, then that's a good place to go, Scotland.
When you visit these other places to go sailing, are you skippering the boat, or is the owner of the boat there with you?
We are not actually. We're going I think everyone in our clubs is like, why aren't you guys skippers yet? But we are taking things relatively slowly. So we are not generally, aside from small. So DC Sail is one of the clubs we're in, and they have Flying Scots, which is a 19-foot no motor boat. So yeah, we do the whole docking under sail and everything on those. Those are the only boats right now that we are skippers of usually. We go on a lot of keel boats, but we're not skippers of them yet. So no, usually we either try to find a local club. That's another trick. If you are traveling to all these places, they have sailing clubs as well. So contact them and be like, hey, can I come out on a boat? And they're often like, sure, cool. And sometimes, you pay nominal fee, we did that when we went to Minneapolis. They have a local sailing club, and we just contacted them and said, we're just in town for a little bit. Can we get on a boat? And they said, sure. So yeah, we'll either look for a local club, or we will contact, or we'll ask a local club if someone with a boat is looking for crew. or we will contact someone who does charters for, a day or so.
And also to add to that, it's a good idea to keep a resume of all of your sales so that when you do try to charter a boat or get a boat somewhere, they see that you have either a combination of training and a log of all of your sales, because they don't want to usually have people who have no experience taking out a boat. They want to know that you at least have some sort of training and a little bit of experience, so that way you can take them out.
Yeah, and the American Sailing Association, US Sailing, both have classes that will give you certifications that most charter companies, if you're on a vacation spot, will recognize. If you've passed that level of course successfully, then you've proven that you're able to handle one of their boats. They may have a checkout process and check you out themselves, but that's definitely something to work towards if you think that you want to be sailing away from home or make sailing part of your vacations. Like you said, you'll need a resume for that. But in the meantime, you may want to take your class on vacation and take American Sailing Association ASA 101, 103, and in a warm place this winter. Or you can do it all close to home. That's, the great thing about sailing is your skills are transportable to other locations.
So I have a question. How do you log your hours on the water? Do you put it in your little keelboat book, or how do you?
So I just put it all on a Google Drive using the Google, like the equivalent of Excel, like a spreadsheet. They call it Sheets. And I just log it all in there. I put in the dates, the number of hours, the boat, what did I do on the boat? Was I crew or skipper? Was I racing? These sort of things. And that way I could have a record of all of that. Because they might also want to see where you want a boat of similar size, similar, make and model, all that sort of thing, so that you would know that kind of boat as well.
Yeah, and I guess, the other thing we can touch on is that you can give back in sailing. I think Karen and Victoria, maybe both of you have done some volunteer work with your clubs. I don't know about Melissa and Ellie, but from being a new sailor to actually having something you can give back has not taken you decades of experience to have some ways to bring others into sailing, make sailing more inclusive, bring it to disadvantaged youth.
So I really, really love to sail, and I'm in a beautiful area. I'm really close to the water, and I felt like I can't enjoy this unless I pull other people into it, give something back. So I have a goal of taking different people out sailing who have never sailed before. And that really gives me joy. So I've done a lot of that, and I'll continue to do that. And I really like working with, people from economically disadvantaged neighborhoods in the city who haven't had that connection to the water, and it's right here, and it's so healing. And, that's really, really important to me. And also I volunteer with the Downtown Sailing Center's Adaptive Sailing Program. And that's a program for people with disabilities, all types of disabilities, whether it's physical, emotional, or whatever, just helping them to get out on the water. And we had a racing fundraiser, our big event. And at that event, the mother of one of the adaptive sailors said in a really emotional speech that her son was used to looking at people. He's in a wheelchair, and his vantage point is always looking at people from that eye level, like looking up or looking, not really seeing. And when he goes out onto the water, it just opens up a whole new world for him. And it really feels good to hear that, and to try to make that happen for others as well.
I love that. For Sail Nauticus, in terms of mentorship, there's So there's the middle school program, but then there's also an adult membership program. And I did not have a formal mentor, which I actually count as like a blessing, because I had the opportunity and didn't have like the mental block to just sail with one person. But we are on we are on our second year of a mentorship program, and so just because I loved that everybody was so willing to like teach me, anybody that I went out with, asking like millions of questions, I wanted to then be able to become a mentor. And so we have a small group of members who are dedicated mentors in the club. They have checked out their skills with the person who runs the mentorship program so that we follow all the same like rules and guidelines and things that we are teaching. We use US sailing standards. So that's what we teach to. And we pair like adult members up with each other. So if you are close to taking your skipper's test for our club, then we'll pair you up with a mentor so you can have more like one-on-one time to learn how to sail. And that's like mentorship in our club.
So we, for the most part, well, also for our clubs, we will volunteer by helping to take care of the boats as well. So, and that's just another way to keep it affordable for everyone. So that way, you know, membership is accessible for everyone who wants to join and things like that. So we'll volunteer on maintenance days, splashing the boats, getting the boats, cleaning them at the end of the season, that sort of thing. And in general, I am obsessed with sailing. I'm obsessed with talking about it and having other people approach me about it. So I designed a shirt for myself and for Ellie that says "Ask me about sailing" on it, and I wear that around. And just a few weeks ago, it worked. I was waiting in line at TJ Maxx, and the woman in front of me waiting in line said, "Are you a member of DC Sail?" And I said, "Well, yes, I am." And she's like, "I saw this shirt. Can I ask you about sailing?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely." So she was very excited. You know, she'd seen it, like, you know, maybe she went to a restaurant and she just saw the boats out on the water and was intrigued, but like didn't really know who to approach or like how to get more information. So it was really opportune, and so she's joining for this coming season. So I'm very excited to see her around.
That's an awesome story. You're an ambassador for sailing for sure. Self-appointed. I love that.
Yeah, and then we didn't mention this earlier, but DC Sail also, it sounds similar to one of the clubs that Karen's in, where it provides access to young, especially inner city folks throughout DC, the ability to learn something, teamwork, get out on the water. So by us even just being members, we're helping keep their mission going. So, and then, you know, folks help out by, you know, offering to do training, offering to help out on the boats and things like that. So it's a great opportunity to help a good cause.
Yeah, I hear you saying there's such a sense of community. You know, there's all these wonderful sailing experiences and personal growth that you're having, but peers that you're becoming friends with, and then also these opportunities to give back, you know, whether it's a club or a community sailing program. Gosh, I hear you saying there's so many ways to be a part of it. So so we're getting down to just about the last 5 minutes. Maybe we'll just go around each and tell us what your future sailing plans are, whether they're concrete or they're dreams that you have that you hope to fulfill in maybe 1 year or 10 years. Who wants to start?
I can go first. So like Melissa mentioned, our next trip, our planned trip is to sail in Croatia. I'm hoping that we could do a big trip like each year, going somewhere warm, hopefully, especially during the winter, you know, to be a snowbird, to get away from like the cold DC winter. And then also work in sailing and going somewhere fun and exotic. But local, there's something called the Delmarva Loop, and that's around the Chesapeake Bay, and that's one of my bucket list items that I'm hoping to be able to accomplish. So, and I'll probably do that through one of the local sailing schools, because they have training that incorporates doing the Delmarva Loop. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That sounds great.
Well, far out in the distant future, I am hoping to get my U.S. Coast Guard captain's license at some point, and I'd like to be able, you know, one day we'll have a boat. I think so. And I'd like to be able to use it to be able to teach others, just have other people experience the water. I think it's a thing that a lot of people think is inaccessible, or and I just want to help to show people that that's not necessarily the case. And if they've ever looked at a sailboat and got a twinkle in their eye, I think that's enough to justify jumping all the way in and going for it.
Well said. Victoria?
Yeah, so this is actually my last year in Norfolk, at least for now. I will graduate in July, and who knows where I'll end up then. So I'm planning on just enjoying this club, and then whatever comes in the future. But one of our universities does have a laser sailing club, and I'd love to do something that's a little more like small and physical, where you use your body weight, you know, to sail a little better. So maybe someday.
I think I'll just continue to try to build my skills and become a stronger sailor. You know, learn how to sail larger boats. And also, I'd like to actually challenge myself at the end of the year, at the end of next year. How many people have you introduced to sailing? How many people of color have you introduced to sailing? So I think that would be a goal for me. You know, I'll feel really accomplished at the end of the year if I've introduced, you know, new people to sailing, and even convince people to become members of the Downtown Sailing Center or the Universal Sailing Club. So those two things are important to me.
Awesome. I don't know what happened to Beth. I'm hoping she'll maybe log back on. Yeah, she just texted me. She's like, "Help! I fell off." Well, what can I do? Well, we are actually kind of reaching the end, but I do want to make a couple of comments because I have been watching the whole thing. You know, the one thing in particular is if anybody watching, or if you have friends that you want to get into sailing, one of the best things that you can do is actually go to the Spin Sheet Crew Party. I don't even know if you guys are even familiar with this, but on April 28th, it's the last day of the Annapolis Spring Sailboat Show. We do a crew party. We actually do a crew party down in Hampton, and we do one in Solomons, but the big one is in Annapolis during that show. Oh, there's Beth. I knew she'd come back. Beth, I'm just telling everybody about the crew party. This is a great way. If you, number one, go to the spinsheet.com and sign up through our crew finder, which is a little service where you create a profile. and you can search for boat owners who are looking for crew for racing and cruising. And the parties themselves, though, are a great way to just kind of mingle with everybody and see the boats that are looking for crew, maybe meet a few skippers or meet other people that are experienced crew, and just get on a boat. I mean, that's really the first step is just to get out there. So highly recommend that. I don't know the dates for Hampton or Solomons yet, but we always have the crew party in Annapolis at the end of the spring sailboat show. So that's a definite. And I'm, you guys are great. I love hearing stories about people who just kind of jump into sailing and you don't really know what you're going to expect. I don't know what you're expecting when you got into it, but it's fantastic that you guys have sort of just let it change your lives or, all that good stuff. So, and by the way, Ellie, the Delmarva thing is like the best way to get some experience and do it with, with people that have done it before. But I've done it and you experience everything, traffic, night sailing, you go out to the Atlantic for a little while, you deal with the Delaware too. And it's fun. So that's exciting. And I hope you all continue on doing this and come back on, some of our other shows and tell us about how much you've progressed, with your sailing experience.
Come to our Spin Sheet crew party and talk to us.
Yeah.
Visit with us. We'd love to have you all there.
Definitely.
We definitely will. It sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
And we're always looking to crew on boats. So yeah, definitely.
It's a lot of fun. Usually we get about 300 people or more. So it's a big deal, rain or shine. So anyway, Beth, you got anything to add before we close this thing up?
No, I just want to thank our guests. They had great sailing stories, and check out Start Sailing Now page on our spinsheet.com website for more inspiring stories.
Yeah, cool. Well, we got one thing left to do, and I got to throw everybody here into the green room, but always stick around. There's always a party in the green room. We got to again thank our sponsor, but we also have our Red Hat pick of the month. So let me just kind of boom, 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 and boom, and hold on. Now you know the background to the pick, don't you?
I do. Yeah.
All right, because I don't. There it is.
There it is. Well, you don't have to be a rocket science to figure this out because the back of the shirts tell you. This is the Screw Pile Challenge, Screw Pile Lighthouse Challenge, down at took place in July of this year, and this is our Red Hat photo of the month.
That's awesome. That's a great. I love the Screw Pile.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with it, look it up. It's just sort of a Chesapeake Bay tradition, and it's always a good time. And so if you see it, if you've never done it, I highly recommend it. It's a fun race.
Yeah. And I should mention this photo was taken by Will Keyworth.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Thank you, Will. Will takes a lot of pictures.
He does. Takes a lot of good pictures.
I was going to say a lot of good pictures.
Sailors and racers. And we appreciate his photography. And he sure captured a good one with all these red hats here.
Exactly. Well, very cool. Well, Beth, thanks for a great happy hour. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, thank you to Mount Gay for sponsoring this. We will be continuing on through the off season with a Spin Sheet happy hour. I guess, are we doing the first Friday every month?
Yeah, the first Friday. So I think it might be I don't know my calendar. Is it December 1st?
That sounds right. Yeah.
First Friday of December?
Yes.
We'll see you here then.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.